Hey there, it's Christina, the caregiver, and the caregiver who is now on a caregiver recovery journey. We are going to talk about something that no caregiver likes to talk about. We are going to talk about something that nobody who's got a very busy lifestyle likes to talk about. We're going to talk about self-care, and it's okay, all of us caregivers, let's take a minute and do the caregiver national anthem or national wave of how we really feel for caregiving. Let's do one huge eye roll and just, it's okay to do that because I feel the same way. Every time we hear self-care, that is what we're thinking inside. No matter how big we're smiling in front, we're thinking inside, not again. But we're going to talk about it because we're going to make it simple and we're going to make it fun. So on my caregiver journey, I've talked about how, 3 years in, they gave me 6 months to live. I had to change some things. And, when I ate, when I slept, when I worked, when I went out socially, it all depended on my mom. At one point, I was sleeping 5 to 10 hours a week. I'm sure many of you can relate who are actively caregiving. And then I also spent many nights in the hospital, and none of us sleep in that hospital when we're staying with our loved ones. The constant beeping, the constantly checking, the constant shift change, all of that stuff is, we've got to be alert and awake to make sure that we are advocating for our loved ones. So I needed to, most importantly, redefine what my normal was for self-care, because one of my biggest things that tripped me up and made it so I was given that diagnosis of only having 6 months to live was I was comparing self-care to what I used to do before my care journey. Now, before my care journey, I was making 6 figures. I had a long-term partner. I had a home. If I wanted to go out and buy a new car, I just did. If I wanted to go out and get a mani-pedi, I just did. If I wanted to get a massage, I just did. Go on vacation, I just did. Read a book, by the pool, I did. Now, as a caregiver, I couldn't do that. I didn't have time to do that. And frankly, even if somebody would have gifted me a massage and paid for care for my mom, the likelihood of me being able to relax on that table was slim to none. Because we got a lot on our mind when we're caring for a loved one. And even during the caregiver recovery journey, there's so much that comes along with it. We have grief that we're dealing with from losing our loved one. And then we're rebuilding our life, because caregiving, when we are actively caregiving, many times, most of the time, it's affecting our life financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially. So when our loved one passes and our caregiving journey ends and we start our caregiver recovery journey, we have to rebuild every part of our life that way. So there's a lot that goes into that, right? And so I had to, once again, redefine my normal on what self-care was. And redefining my normal on for self-care when I was caregiving, what it looked like was I had to take that in 30-second increments. It wasn't about reading a book by the beach. It was about taking a blood pressure pill and texting a friend that I was okay. It was about not only was I sorting my mother's pills, but I would take time each month to sort my vitamins. And not only was I, trying to make a healthy meal for my mother, but I was trying to make a healthy meal for me. It was, instead of going to the gym and having a personal trainer, which I had before I was caring for my mom, it was when I walked down the hall, I would reach my arms up to the ceiling, or I would make my knees go a little bit higher just so I can get a little bit more circulation. It was when I went to go check the mail, taking a deep breath and dropping my shoulders. Caregiver recovery, because the emotions can be a little crazy with grief, and because we're wondering who we are and what is our life about and what do we even do now that we're not responsible for somebody. I mean, even the fact of somebody saying, Christina, how are you? I don't know. Nobody's asked me that for 10 years. They've asked me, how's your mom? Somebody asked me, what are my hobbies? I don't know what my hobbies are. Before caregiving, I was playing on 3 softball teams. I was, vacationing. And I'm like 50 years old. I'm not going to play on, 3 softball teams. And all my money went to caring for my mother. As a matter of fact, I think I did an article with, I can't remember if it was Fortune or Forbes magazine. It was like 7 or 8 years into my care journey. And we did some math because I was paying for my mother's care. And between the care that I had actually paid for and all the things I had paid for so far and the unpaid care that I was providing and the lost wages, it was $834,000, right? So yeah, I'm not taking a bunch of vacations right now. I'm not getting a bunch of mani-pedis right now. So I have to take things simply. And one of the things I found that's really fun is I found this self-care deck, and I'm doing a series on this. This is nothing to do with tarot, nothing to do anything religious. It's just something that I love. I'm not sponsored by this at all. I just purchased this off Amazon. The only thing that sponsored this was my credit card and the wonderful Amazon delivery man who sent it to me. So each day I'm going to be picking one of these and talking a little bit about my care journey and talking a little bit about the one thing we hate to talk about as caregivers, self-care, but the one thing that we need. Because again, I've mentioned it before, and the stats for family caregivers are 30% of family caregivers pass before the person they're caring for, 35% of family caregivers pass within 5 years of the person they're caring for, and if the caregivers are over the age 70, about 65% of them pass before the person they're caring for. And it's interesting because a lot of people that I've talked to on their care journey, after their care journey ends, they have a lot of medical conditions that come up, and it's because we have put off our own care while we're in the hospital constantly or going to the doctors constantly for our loved ones. So these type of things are very important for us, and because we have a lot of challenging emotions we're walking through right now, like grief and rediscovering who we are and recreating our life and our schedules, I wanted to keep it simple. And so these cards, I'm going to pick a card today and we're going to talk about that. So today's card is Burn Bowl Ritual. There you go, Burn Bowl Ritual. Okay, now this can be whatever you want. This is something I actually practice often, and if I've got something that, listen, how many times have we been to the hospital and they have blown off our loved one, or they haven't listened to us, or we're trying to explain somebody like what we're walking through and how challenging it is, but they're like, you should just think about your mom. And it's like, hello, I think about her 24/7, right? So there's some things that we might be troubled by or angry by. And so one of the things I have done, and it takes, a short amount of time, is write down my grievances or things that I want to let go of, or I used to write down things I used to want to say to the medical teams who would blow us off, and then I would find a very safe place. I actually have a fire pit in my backyard, a very safe place to tear it up and burn it in there and let it go. Because we need space for the other things we're walking through. We don't need to hold on to those emotions. And sometimes we just need to get it out there. And writing it and journaling it is really important. And so this act will just take a short amount of time. This is probably a 5 to 15 minute act. And again, please make sure you're practicing that in a safe place. Please make sure that you are practicing it in a safe state of mind as well. And just remember, you can say anything you need to on that piece of paper that you're burning. Any of the things you've been holding back and you want to let go of, you can say on that piece of paper and then burn it and let it go. Now, if you are not somebody who likes to do that, if you're somebody who doesn't have a safe place to burn it, you can also just tear it up and you can put it in a planting pot. You can tear it up and throw it into the trash. You can put it up and let it dissolve in water. There's multiple ways to let go of that. Whatever you need to do to modify it for you, this is your journey, and this is today's self-care tip. Make sure to like and follow and subscribe so we can go through the whole deck together. And you guys have a great day. Thanks so much. This is Christina, the caregiver, and the caregiver on a caregiver recovery journey.